Hey there, we're on the third video for Category 3 of Algebra 1, the Strategy STAAR booklet that I passed out for y'all to do as homework. So, I'm just showing off some toys I got from Japan. Though my little sister got me this one, so I don't know where this one came from. But yeah, I got 3 things because we're on Category 3. I hope you guys are doing well. Again, we don't have that many opportunities for tutoring. This is April 9th as I'm making this video, so the next day for tutoring would be April 10th, Thursday after school. And then there's one last tutoring, which is going to be on April 15th. But that's only on Tuesday. Cannot do the next Thursday because the Spring Fest is happening. And then we're on Easter weekend, so, busy times. So, making all this video so that way you can follow along with whatever you need as you work through this packet. Now, Category 3 is a really big one because it has the most points. It's writing and solving linear functions, equations, and inequalities. So this is why we spent a whole chunk of the year working on equations. Now you can see it has 12 to 14 questions and could be 12 to 18 points. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. And I'm going to show you all the strategies that are listed in the packet, as well as what you can do on your calculator. A lot of this also you could do in Desmos, but you have to remember your formulas. Now we're talking about linear. It says right here, linear functions. So if you look at your formula chart on page 2, linear equations can come in various forms. They all make straight lines, but it's just they're used for different ways. So we talked about this throughout the year, but if you don't remember, or just to recap, linear equations in standard form are in alphabetical order, ax plus by equals c. This is mostly used for word problems, like to set up word problems. Slope-intercept form is what we mostly use for graphing, and it's the simplest form because you have your slope, you have your intercept. So you could start by drawing a beginning point, and you move with slope, and it creates your graph. And this equation is what we usually convert to, so that way we can use Desmos, or even this calculator. It has a y equals button, so that's a big indicator that you need to rewrite things to y equals or slope-intercept form. So that's why we focus so much of the year on slope-intercept form. Point-slope form is a little bit harder to use because it has more parts to it, but point-slope form is for any point. It doesn't have to be the y-intercept. So you could be at 3, 2, and the 3 will go here, and the 2 will go here, and then we have slope. We did a foldable about this like right before spring break, and we spent like a month on point slope. So we'll show y'all, but most of the time we write it and then we convert it back to slope-intercept form because, like I said earlier, this is the simplest. And the last thing in the linear equations formula chart is slope of a line. This is a piece of the other formulas. This is how to find the slope when you're given 2 points. So this is not an equation of anything except for slope. So you notice that this has an m. Once you use this formula to find this value, it goes inside of the others. Okay? I'll show you some examples. So that was a quick recap, and then again for visuals, here's slope-intercept form. I won't go over it again, but if you need an explanation of this, please watch the first video for Category 1. And again, you can see the slope formula being used here to find slope from a table. Here's a demonstration of a graph using slope-intercept form. There's the different slopes you can have, and then how to rewrite. Again, we're going to be using this, so I will review this real quick, but if you want more in-depth info, please watch the first video. Now, we have an equation in standard form, ax plus by equals c. So this is how you change it from standard back to slope-intercept form. It says here 8x plus 3y equals 15. We have to do an exciting move, but kick out our x because we're done with them. We're moving on. So you got to cancel with whatever this is using the opposite. So since this is 8x, we use minus 8x. When we do on one side, we do to the other. Because these are different, we just bring them down. But you got to do a great divide and divide everybody. So this divides by 3. 3, 3. That way y can be alone. And we have slope-intercept form. So that was a little bit quick. If you want it a little slower, go to the first video. Like I said, this is the third video, so we actually done a few of these pages. So I'm actually going to go straight to page 15. Now, this chapter, this is, again, adapted from the packet I usually use for summer school. And because summer school, it's 50 pages long, I didn't want to assign all 50 pages for homework for y'all to study from, so I cut it down to the most important bits. So I am going to jump around on this video, so please pay attention. I know it used to say page 25. Sorry. It used to say page 25. We're on page 15, and I'll be skipping around. But I'll let you know when we're there. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, some things you have to just memorize. They won't tell you everything, like the formula chart. Not everything is provided. Some of it you have to just know. So if you see here, this specific question is about domain and range. So if you see something with domain, let me grab my pen. Domain is X and range is Y. They're listing what are the possible X's and what are the possible Y's. And then if you need something to remember, you could say Dr. X, Y. Domain, range, X's and Y's. Domain goes with X's, range goes with Y's. Alright, let me go ahead and read this to y'all, and while we read, we'll highlight things. So, I'm going to drink some water, and we'll get started. The total cost in dollars to buy uniforms for a player on a viable team can be found using the function C equals 34.95U plus 6.25. Okay, where U is the number of uniforms bought. If the total cost must be between $285 and $426 to buy the uniforms for the volleyball team, what is the domain of the function for the situation? Cost must be $285 and $426. And they're asking for domain. Alright, so we'll go ahead and read the strategies, and then I'll show the work. So I know they have the answer choices. Actually, even before you begin the answer choices, let me go ahead and write this out. C, let me put it right here. I'm just going to copy the equation. I know I'm going to have to use this equation. They don't give us equations for no reason. Right? Now, they changed the letters. C is for cost, so I could put cost on here. We know U is for uniform. That's context clues. U is the number of uniforms. And it says here the total cost of dollars at the top. I already didn't underline it, but I kept seeing the word cost. And there's a C. Obviously, cost is short. C is for short for cost. Sorry, it's a little late. I'm kind of a little brain dead, but I'm trying my best. Alright, so to recap, C has to be cost. We see that word repeated, and they told us U is for uniforms. Well, the equation's kind of hard to read it like this, but you see how it has C equals? That reminds me of Y equals. Oh, this pen's dying. And now you can see I rewrote a Y equals mx plus b, and now it shows that U goes with x, C goes with y. And they asked us, what is the domain of the function? Like I said earlier, domain goes with x. So now I know, okay, if domain goes with x, you have to chain things up. Math, a lot of it is just matching things up. So if you remember, domain is x. What's related to x? Oh, U. They're talking about uniforms. So that means our answer has to be related to uniforms. So as I can see, B has to be wrong because what's the point of C? We're not asking about Y's, we're not asking about range. So the answer B is totally wrong. And there you gave yourself a better chance instead of just picking something randomly. Okay, I would personally do that whenever I first read a question, match it up to if it's a domain and if it's range, and then do process of elimination. And then let's work it out one more time. Alright, so here we go. Step 1. Use the graphic reminder below to remind yourself which values represent the domain and which values represent the range. That's exactly what I did earlier up here. The domain is made up of x values and the range is made up of y values. In this situation, use u values for domain and c values for range. That's what we just talked about. Step 2. The problem is asking for domain. Cross out choices B and D because they refer to c values, which is the range. So if I look at the D answer choice, this is related to range because if you look back up here, if the total cost must be between $285 and $426, it doesn't make sense for our uniforms to be 285 uniforms because that's not reasonable for a team. This is cost. And you can't have decimal of a uniform. We're not purchasing fabric like that. So D is also out. And now, instead of one guess, now we have, sorry, instead of one wrong answer, now we have two wrong answers, so it makes it easier to guess if you do get stuck at this point. Now, I'm going to continue reading it, but I'm also going to give y'all a hint. Think about uniforms, okay? We're thinking about uniforms. The problem is asking for domain, so we cross out B and D. And now we're moving on to step 3. Enter the function into Y1 of your graphing calculator. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do Y equals. Oh, I didn't clear this calculator. It's okay, just clear this. And now what I'm going to do is type in 34.95. But instead of U, we're going to use the X. So that's this button right here. Sorry, this button right here. And then it's plus 6.25. Also, actually, let me turn down the brightness. Okay. Hold on, I'll do that later. Okay. Now, basically, it says here, go to the table, second graph. Maybe I did that too fast. You press second, then you press graph, and you get the table. And you get a bunch of numbers. Well, we already said X is for uniforms, Y is for the cost. So we're not going to look at the numbers on the right. We got to look at the numbers on the left. Put it right here. There you go. You can see it. If I read it over here, it says here the total cost must be between $285 and $426. So if I look at my calculator, we're going to look at the cost to see when does that start. Well, we're not going to look at $625. We want to go all the way to $285. So as I keep going, you can see the numbers down here as well. This is $146, $181, $215, still too low, $250, hey, $285. So we are starting at this point. How many uniforms gives us $285.85? It's 8. So we know our answer starts with 8. Well, hold on, let me continue reading this. The range is made up of C values like Y, and they must be between 285 and 426. Sorry, I'm very tired. I'm going to do my best. Sorry. Scroll down the table to find the number closest to 285 in the Y column. Use the corresponding X value for the smallest value of your domain. Then find the C value in the Y column closest to 426 and use the corresponding X value for the largest number in your domain. Basically, domain and range, we're trying to find the minimum to the maximum. I'm going to write that real quick just to help y'all. Minimum to maximum. We want to know what are our possibilities. So we already know the minimum value has to be 8 because that gives us a 285. And now let's go all the way down to the 426 that we need. Oh, I see I passed it right here. 425, that's at 12. So now I know it's going to start at 8 and end at 12. Now we have to be between two answer choices because A has 8 to 12 and C has 8 to 12. Let me describe the differences between you. This one here is continuous. So that means it starts at 8 and goes to 12. Something like that, right? It's connected. Continuous is connected. That means I could be in between that. I could have a number in the middle, like 10 uniforms. But I could also have a decimal or a fraction. I could have 10.5. Because 10.5 is a number in between 8 and 12. So continuous will have inequalities to show they're connected. And it could be any number between here. Well, that doesn't make sense for uniforms. Because we can't have decimal of a uniform. So 8 to 12 should not work for us because we want separate uniforms. I either buy 8 uniforms, I buy 10 uniforms, or 12, not 10.5. So the best answer here is actually C because it listed separately 8 uniforms, 9 uniforms, 10 uniforms, 11 uniforms, 12 uniforms. So this is discrete. We use discrete when they have to be separated. Like physical items, like buying clothes, like uniforms, buying food, like 1 cookie, 2 cookies. Lots of things we count by the whole number. So we use discrete when it has to be like a listed amount. You either pay this much or you pay the next amount. You don't pay in between. So as you see right down here, it got cut off a little bit. It says here step 7. C is the correct answer because you cannot buy a fraction of a uniform. There we go. So this question was actually simple if you think about it in, okay, related, domain, range. Domain, what is X? X is uniforms. All right, how many uniforms can I buy? Well, I can't buy decimals. Then I can't also buy inequalities. Oh, and of course this one is extremely wrong. It's double wrong because it's inequalities and it has the wrong letter, the wrong variable. So then C, automatically your answer. But we wanted to explain it in depth to make sure you understand it. Okay, that's it for question 8 on page 15. Now, if you turn to the next page, that's category 4, so I'm going to skip that, and then this category 5. I'm going to do one category at a time. So I'm going to keep moving on until page 20. And this is sideways, so I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so this is a lot of word problems. Some people are great at them, some people are not. We're going to go ahead and read it. I'm going to underline it, and then I'm going to help y'all with the strategies here. But unfortunately, you don't get little strategies like this on the STAAR. So make sure that you really understand, how do I break down a word problem? Take them slow, break it down in parts. That way it's going to be easier. Okay. So a fisherman in Louisiana sells shrimp by the pound. He charges $5.50 per pound of shrimp, but adds a $10 fee to cover his expenses. Which equation represents the total cost of shrimp? Y, when N represents the number of pounds of shrimp purchased. So let me go ahead and underline the important bits. Our clues, $5.50 per pound, adds on a $10 fee. So of course our numbers are important, but also like the math words that are next to those numbers, because they tell you what you're going to do with those numbers. And then it says here, represents the total cost. Shrimp is Y, and then N represents the number of pounds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read this to y'all. Let me focus it. Alright, here we go. Step 1. Look for a phrase which indicates a rate of change. Rate of change is another word for slope. And the reason we know that it's a rate is because it says per pound. Slope is related to rate. So like, how much do you pay for stuff? Or how much do you get paid for the work you do? That's all related to rates, which is related to slope. So this is slope. And as we know, if we do our regular y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form, the equation, that should be one of our best friends. M is the slope, and it's multiplied with x. This is our rate, our slope, married to x. Because we're going to multiply. You buy 1 pound, you pay this much. You buy 2 pounds, you double it. You buy 3 pounds, you triple it, and so forth. You're going to multiply with that rate to pay for each pound. So the words per or each, those are big indicators that you're going to multiply with that number. And it says here, the rate should be the coefficient, the number multiplied to the variable. That's exactly what I just said here. We're going to eliminate some choices now. So what I'm going to do is go through A, B, C, D, and we're going to look at which number is multiplying. So we know it's $5.50 per pound. So it should be $5.50. And then instead of X, go back and read the problem. Y is the total cost of shrimp. That's not related to pound yet. N represents the number of pounds. So instead of X, switch it to an N. So when you do word problems, start with what you know. If you know slope-intercept form, use it. You know standard form, AX plus BY equals C, use that. And then rewrite it with the letters given to you in the word problem. So you see I wrote MX plus B, then it's $5.50 N. M for $5.50. Instead of X, they told you to use the letter N. And now we're doing step 2, where we're going to see which one matches. So far, A matches. So I'm going to leave A alone. B matches. C does not match because $5.50 does not have the N. So that's crossed out. And D does not match because 10 also has an N. we have nothing about we're going to pay $10 each shrimp. We're going to add on $10, but not multiplied. It should be just a flat 10. Flat fees means you're only going to add it once. So D is also out. And we got a 50-50 chance now. Alright, step 3. Look for a phrase which indicates a constant value. It is adding on a $10 fee. And should be the constant term in the answer. Again, constant means that it only happens once. It stays the same. 10N is wrong because then if you have a 2, that becomes a 20. You have a 3, that becomes a 30. We don't want that. That's icky. That's a scam. So if I look back up here, A doesn't really feel right to me because we should be adding on $10, not subtracting it. Versus B looks better. So let me go ahead and keep reading the steps to y'all. It says here, choose the answer that combines the rate per pound and the added fee. And then here's just to check yourself. Enter your equation into Y1 on your calculator and look at the few ordered pairs in the table. Are these reasonable answers for the scenario? So basically, if you feel anxious, especially on a test, you want to ask a teacher, am I right? A lot of you love to, get support from me by asking me if you're right or wrong. And I'm like, yeah, or I'm sorry, fix it. Unfortunately, you don't get that on the STAAR test. So here's how you check yourself to reassure yourself. You turn on your calculator, go back to Y equals, clear that old one. And let's say you want to try A. Now they have this one backwards where Y is in the end. It doesn't matter. You can just cover that up. Pretend it's in the front. And we're going to write 5.50. Instead of N, put an X, minus 10. And then we're going to use that trick about seeing the graph. Instead of the graph, we're going to see the table. So you do second graph. You could also type it up in Desmos. And I think I showed y'all that you press the gear icon. And you could turn it into a table and you could put numbers in there. You're free to do that as well. Whichever way is easier. Now I'm going to go all the way up to 0. This is weird because if we didn't buy shrimp yet, for some reason, we have negative 10. If I buy 1 pound of shrimp, that's negative 4.5. That doesn't really make any sense because I have to pay for the shrimp. It shouldn't be in the negatives. So A is obviously wrong. Let's check B though just to check our work. If you clear it, you have 10 plus 5.50x. Then I do second graph to check that table. 0 pounds is 10. Okay, so a $10 fee to cover his expenses. 1 pound of shrimp turns into $15.50. 2 pounds of shrimp turns into 21. This starts to make more sense that yes, I am going to pay more for the more shrimp I buy. So the best answer is B. It's the only one that makes sense. And again, too, you don't have to use a calculator. It's just to check yourself. But you could also use it for those more complex problems. Okay, we do have another question, but it is not on this page. This is category 4. I'm going to save that for a different video. I'm only doing category 3 in this video. So I'm going to skip around. We just finished question 9 on page 20. So now we're going to move on. And I think there was one more. Oh, actually, it's one more page. So this is going to be a big one. Now, the reason this is a big page is because there's a lot of questions in this category. So this is one of the most important parts of algebra because you're going to reuse these types of skills in geometry and algebra 2 and so forth because equations are just a big part of how numbers have relationships. So bear with me. We're going to have multiple problems on this page. But it's for your benefit because I guarantee you these questions are on STAAR. And these are the kind of questions that you need to pass, that you need to be able to do for you to pass. So pay attention as much as you can. And if you still don't understand it, please talk to me so that way we can give you more problems. Because sometimes you just need more examples. And the more examples you do, it'll finally click. Okay, so we're going to do page 22. And then there's question 20. 20A, 20B, 20C, because they're all similar. And again, doing multiple questions because after a while, it'll click with those examples. But it should be the last page we're doing in this video. And again, I'll put timestamps so you can skip for, oh, I understand this question, so you can skip to the next question. Let's get started. Now, These are equation problems. So please make sure you read the questions. Don't just jump into it, because the questions sometimes give you a hint of what formula you're going to use. It says here, which equation in standard form has a graph that passes through the point -4 and 2 and has a slope of 9/2? Now, with standard form, there's a lot of strategies you can do. And some of y'all are more comfortable with the long way. And that's okay, because that's the way we've taught it to y'all, because you need to know how to write things in Desmos. So, as you can see, 9x minus 2y equals 36. You can't type that into the calculator. You're going to have to solve for y. What I'm going to do is, I'll read the strategy. This is the shortcut. But if you feel like you're going to forget it, then do the long way, right? So, use a shortcut if you like it. If it's there, if it's easy for you, use it. If the shortcut's too scary, you feel like you're going to lose, you're going to forget which way to go, you're going to forget yourself, then do it the long way. So here's the short one. Substitution. They gave you two numbers to use. -4 is an x, 2 is a y. And so what we're going to do is substitute -4 for x and 2 and y in each equation. And so maybe if we're lucky, we'll find only one answer. I'm also going to demonstrate the long way, because sometimes STAAR likes to trick y'all and have two answers work this strategy. And so if you have multiple correct answers using one strategy, then you have to use a different strategy to find the true answer. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I mean here is, instead of saying -9x minus 2y equals 36, we're just going to check 9 parentheses minus 2 parentheses and see if that equals 36 or not. Now do it again. 9 parentheses minus 2 parentheses equals 26. So notice I'm putting a blank where x and y is to see which one matches. Okay, ready? Now I'm going to go ahead and put, instead of leaving it as an x, we're going to put in -4. I'm going to write it all out, and then we'll put it in the calculator. So let's use, sorry, I'm looking for pens. -4 and then a 2. -4 and then a 2. -4 and a 2. Now we've done this a few times in class. Maybe we just haven't done it enough for everyone to remember. Some people remember it. It's up to y'all. So if you're stuck on the screen, click second mode to exit. And there's a lot of mess on here. Just press clear. Now I'm going to go ahead and type it in. And basically, we were putting 9 parentheses -4 minus 2 parentheses 2. And we want to see if it equals one of these numbers. It gave me a -40. That doesn't match 36. So A is out. Does it match B? C! Ding, ding, ding. And D is wrong. So the best answer is C. Now, that was a shortcut, and it worked for us. I'm going to show y'all how to do it the long way, just to check yourself. Also, if in case one of these answers does not match. Basically, what I'm going to do is solve for y and then put it in the calculator. So this is the second strategy. Let's try it with C and then D. 9x minus 2y equals -40. I'm going to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract 9x on both sides. So some of y'all like to have a line in the middle. And then -2y here. And then bring this down as -9x minus 40. Divide everything by -2, -2, -2. That way y can be by itself. This is stuff we've been doing just to get the slope-intercept form. Now we can see that this will have a slope of 9/2 because two negatives make a positive. They cancel each other out when you divide. -40 divided by -2 is +20. Alright, I'm going to check that soon. I also want to try D. I want to have two examples for y'all. So I'm going to do that super quick because it's pretty much the same thing. The same steps, I mean. That cancels out. We get -2y. Remove -9x over. -10. Divide by -2. -2. -2. Two negatives make a positive. Y equals 9/2x plus 5. Because two negatives make a positive. Now, here's what I'm going to do with the calculator. I'm going to press Y equals. Clear anything old. And I'm going to put this in the calculator. You're going to use alpha, Y equals enter. 9 on top, 2 on bottom, to the right, x plus 20. And then on the second row, I'm going to do the same thing. 9 alpha, Y equals enter. 9 on top, 2 on bottom. Make sure you exit the fraction. And then put plus 5. Now, instead of graphing it, it might be hard to see the points because, calculators are very tiny. The screen is very tiny. What we're going to do is click second graph. We're going to make them both into tables. You can also do this on Desmos, where on Desmos, you have to click the gear icon after you type it in. And then what we're going to do is go to -4. So if you did this on Desmos, you would type in -4. And I'll go up to the -4. And you see, which answer gives us the 2? It was only C. So this is another way to check. It's the long way, but if you want that reassurance, like, I can't tell if I'm right or wrong, do it. Solve for Y, put in the calculator. The calculator will tell you which one matched up to -4 and 2. Okay, I hope that helped. We're going to move on to 20A. I'm going to move this up. Again, I'll do a strategy, and then we'll talk about any other strategies you can use. Which equation in standard form has a graph that passes through the point 5, -1, and has a slope of 3? So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the numbers just like what we did last time. There are some differences. It's not as nice as the last one because the last one had a lot of the same numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite them. You don't have to rewrite them. You can put them straight into the calculator. If you know it, I'm not going to stop you. It's your test. You do what you like. But here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and instead of x, I'm going to put a blank. -3. Instead of y, put a blank equals 16. See? So if you have just a basic x, just put a blank for now. Do the same thing. And it's 8. And then this one starts with a 3. So that goes in front of the parentheses. Minus. And then instead of just y, put a regular blank. And a -14. Same thing for the next one. Okay, now what I'm going to do is plug in the numbers just like how we did it on the last question. 5 is an x, -1 is a y. So I'm going to put them here. And then please be careful with negative numbers in the calculator. On Desmos, it does not matter. That's why some people prefer Desmos, because you could just type it in and it'll work out. But on the graphing calculators, like the TI-84, the negative button is different from the subtraction. So how I try to help y'all remember is that the middle part of an equation uses the minus, middle minus. Okay, middle minus. If the number's inside of parentheses, most likely it'll be negative. So what I'm going to do is just kind of darken all my minus signs. Minus is in the middle. Okay? You should see a size difference once we type it up in the calculator. Let me scooch this back. Okay. And then scooch it this way so we have some room. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I want to exit all this, so press second mode. Clear the screen so we have a fresh blank slate. And let's go ahead and type parentheses 5, parentheses -3, parentheses -1. Notice the size difference. Now, when you see the equal sign, stop. What you're going to do is click enter and see if they match. That says 8, not 16. So, answer A is all out. But B is in because it did give us 8. Now, please check all the answers because, again, the STAAR exam can be tricky and they might put more than one right answer for a strategy. So let's keep trying the next part. I'm going to do 3, parentheses 5, parentheses minus, parentheses -1. See that I typed up the same thing that we wrote down, but there's a size difference. Minus and then the -1. You could also type this up in Desmos, and it wouldn't matter with the minus sign. And it should give you the calculation in the corner in a little box. Anyways, go ahead and click enter. That's a 16. And this is why this problem sucks, because there's 2 correct answers. So like I demonstrated in the last question, you're going to have to work it out all the way to check your work and see which one works better. So now you give yourself 50-50, but if you know how to do it, might as well try to get 100% chance correct. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take B and D and rework them. And again, I know I'm doing a lot of examples, but the more examples, hopefully it'll stick in your head. So here's x minus 3y equals 8. And we want to get y alone, so I've got to cancel out this x. And if you want to, you can put a 1. I personally don't, just because it's more writing. I already read a lot as a teacher. You know how it be. Okay, I'm going to bring all my stuff down. That's a positive 8. Some of y'all forget about that. Bring a plus sign. And now, again, we want y alone, so we're going to divide. Please do not forget the negative. So many of you forget the negatives. Crazy. You can't just avoid negativity like that. Oh, like I said, too, if you want the 1, you can put a 1 in front. That might make it easier. So this is technically negative 1 divided by negative 3. 2 negatives make a positive. Now, on this problem, I can already tell my answer is wrong because if the 1 is on top, it's going to stay a fraction. If the 1 is on top and it's smaller than the denominator, we're going to have a normal fraction. So this is 1, it could be, sorry, I'm writing it weird, 1/3 x. And then here, it won't simplify, and you can check in your calculator. Check, you see how it's ugly? Press the math button, change it to a fraction real quick. It's not going to change. But I will rewrite it with the negative in the front. This answer is doo-doo because they said it has to have a slope of 3. So B is totally wrong. So the best answer is D. Ta-da, we're done. Though I will go ahead and work it out just so you guys have that practice. And on this one, I put 1 in front of the y. You can always do that. If there's a missing coefficient, you can put a 1 because y does exist. It's a single y. And again, get rid of that x. We need y alone. They broke up. They moved out. Y, it wants to be alone, independent and thriving. And they also need to get rid of their negativity. So now we're going to divide everything by negative 1. Get rid of that negativity. After you divide, y becomes a positive single variable. 2 negatives make a positive. Since 3 is on top, this is a whole number. Remember, whole numbers happen when they divide out. You can drop the 1 that's underneath the 3. 1s are not necessary. So negative 3 divided by negative 1 is a positive 3x and a negative 16. D has to be the answer. Okay, if you really want to, you can check the calculator. I'm very confident that is the answer, so I'm going to skip that. But again, if you need it, you put y equals, you just type it in there. You can see. I guess I'll do it. Just really quick. Just because you're special, I'll do it. Just kidding. I'm just going to do D. I won't do both. Second graph, and if you go to 5, bam, 5 has negative 1. Oops, sorry. I was off center. 5 has negative 1. Alright, next question. I know, it's a lot. But these are very common problems that you're going to have on the STAAR. And they kind of have some tricks to them. So we're going to go ahead and try it out. Now, I am going to show you a shortcut for this next question. And then I will do it the long way. 20b. What is the equation slope-intercept form of a line that passes through the points negative 447 and 2 negative 16? And they have a bunch of equations. Some of them kind of ugly. One of the good things you can do about this is you can type them up in Desmos and then make a table with each of these equations. Typed in negative 4 for x. And then a 2 for x. And see, well, I get 47 and negative 16. I'm also going to use it with the graphing calculator here. So the buttons are a little different, but it's a similar concept. So we're going to go ahead and do it. It says here, enter each equation into your calculator and check the table. So let's do that. Again, this isn't the proper way. This is just a shortcut strategy to pass the exam. In class, when you go to your, could be any math teacher, me, could be your geometry teacher, your algebra 2 teacher, wherever you go next year. They will probably not have multiple choice questions. So when you have a question like this and it's not multiple choice, you're going to have to work it out on your own. So I'm going to do it the shortcut way and then the long way, because the long way is what you're expected to do in a math classroom. Ready? So I'm going to press y equals, because what we're going to do is type each of these equations. Since they're already in slope-intercept form, we're going to graph them. Well, not graph them. I'm going to go ahead and type it in. If you need to do a fraction, I don't think I wrote it earlier, but we've been doing them in class, so it's not new. Just in case you forget, it's alpha, y equals, enter. You need to press 3 buttons. Okay, let's get started. Alpha, y equals, enter. I hope you don't mind, I'm going to do this fast. Notice there's a negative. Please don't forget those negatives. You can just put it on the top. Negative 21 on top, 2 on the bottom. Go to the right, put x. Plus, again, alpha, y equals, enter. 9, 7, 9 on top, 21 on the bottom, enter. I'm going to do 2 equations at a time, just to, that way I don't have to go back and forth. Y equals, enter. Alpha, y equals, enter. Negative 2 on top, 21. Go to the right. Oops, I erased everything. I'm so tired. Forgive me. Negative 2 on top, 21. X plus alpha, y equals, enter. 9, 7, 9. This is an ogre of a problem. Why are they using such big numbers? Alright, now we're going to press second graph. And we're going to get a bunch of tables. Give it a moment to work it out. Now, I know there's some ugly fractions. My calculator automatically turns into fractions because this is my husband's calculator. It's a little extra fancy. You might get decimals. It doesn't matter. We don't want any of those fraction or decimals. We want to get whole numbers. And what we want to go is we want to go to -4 and see which of these gives me a 47. Well, obviously, y1 will not give me that answer because it's a weird looking fraction. And I need a whole number 47. Because the left side is my x, the right side of a point is my y. And so far, A is trash. Answer A is trash. Now, let's double check 2. Because you can't trust star. So go all the way down where x is equal to 2. And I got a weird looking fraction for both of them. So even though it looked promising, B did have my first answer. B did not have the second point. So B cannot be the correct answer because it does not have both. Like I said before when we've done other things in class, you have to check both parts because it has to be true for both. You cannot trust star and like, oh, got my answer, move on. That's how kids fail it because even if they try their hardest, they don't check everything and they get tricked by that. And we don't want y'all to get tricked. Alright, so it's not A and B. So let's go back to y equals. Press that button again. Clear the screen. I'm just going to click clear enter, clear enter. Let's go back to the top and let's put in C and D. I like to only do 2 at a time because otherwise it does get kind of hard to read the rest. You don't have to. You can put all 4. Who am I to stop you? Alpha y equals enter, -21. 2 on the bottom. X plus 5. And then again, alpha y equals enter. -2 on top, 21 on the bottom, x plus 5. Second graph to get the table. And let's go back up to -4. You see we're on the x column. Go all the way up to -4. We got a 47. So far, C is passing. D is trash, so obviously the answer is D. But let's go ahead and just check, just to be careful. Maybe you mistyped something, so you always want to check. 2 does give me the -16. The answer is C. Now, I'm going to show y'all the long way, just in case. And it's also good practice in case you need to find slope. But if you are okay, you're satisfied, you can move on to the next problem. I will have timestamps. But I think you guys need to see slope formula. If that doesn't ring a bell, here's how you do slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What I'm going to do is label this as x1, y1, x2, y2. Hopefully now that rings a bell. And I'm going to plug in 2 of these points in this equation. y2 is a -16, minus sign of y1 is a 47. I put it in parentheses just to be safe. Notice this is a negative, and then in the middle, it's a minus. let's do the x2. x2 is a 2. Middle minus x1 is negative 4. And some of my students, you already know, two negatives turn into a positive. So I have negative 16 minus 47 all over 2 plus 4. And then at this point, you can start using your calculator. So if you're on the screen, second mode, negative 16 minus 47. I should have a negative 63 on top. 2 plus 4 obviously is 6. Now let's divide it. Negative 63 divided by 6. I get a weird decimal. And our answers are fractions. So press the math button. Click enter to turn it to a fraction. And click enter again. Negative 21 over 2. Hey, it looks like it's C or D. So this is another way. Oh, actually, it could be C or A. D is backwards. So it's either A or C. And then here's how you can check. You can plug it into the equation. So, or you could use point slope form. It's on your formula chart. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. I'm going to demonstrate this. Maybe it'll ring a bell. This is right before spring break. Y1 and x1 could be the first point up here. So let's go ahead and write y minus 47. M is this negative 21 over 2. X minus negative 4. And this is a minus sign. But again, some of y'all recognize, oh, two negatives will turn into a positive. So if you want to, I'll just rewrite it. Just so it looks less messy. Now, some of y'all, if you like decimals, you can turn it to a decimal. This actually might be easier as a decimal. It doesn't matter. I'll change it to a decimal. I'll show you both. Two negatives turn into a positive. Positive 4. Now, some of y'all recognize, okay, if I want to see y alone, I got to get rid of this part right here. Well, we're going to do distribution. So you're going to multiply. If you kept it as a fraction, it will still work the same way. So I'm going to do both. If I kept it as a fraction, I could do negative 21. So see how I'm going to highlight it? Click enter. So you can click on it again. Negative 21 times 4. Or you could do negative 10.5 times 4. You get the same answer. So if you prefer fractions, you can use it. Decimal, you can use it. It doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and rewrite it. Y minus 47 equals, I'll write both of the answers. So if here's the fraction form, negative 2 over 21x minus 42. I'm going to write the decimal form over here. Doesn't really matter. Oh, I wrote it again. Negative 10.5. My bad. X minus 42. And then we want y alone, so you want to cancel that minus 47 by adding 47 to both sides. Adding 47 to both sides. That way y can be alone. We skip x because x cannot add with normal numbers. Those constants add with other constants. So negative 10.5x, 47 minus 42, or you can put it here, negative 42 plus 47, whatever floats your boat. That's a 5. There's a 5. So it's still answer C. Or you can leave it as a fraction. It's still the same answer. We did it. The crowd goes wild. You're doing great. It is a long video. It is a long day. You guys have been working a very long year. We got this, okay? Now, that skill I just demonstrated, we're going to do it again. We see it over here in the parentheses. It says here, what is the equation point slope form of the line that passes through the point negative 3, 7 and has a slope of negative 1/2? Now, this hint says solve for y to enter each equation into your calculator. That way you can match it up. I will say, let's do it two ways. I will show you the way we've done it in school, the way we've done it in class, and then I'll show you the calculator way. Already, we can match up everything to the slope, because slope is in front of your x. And see here, they all have the same one. So this is a good clue, but everyone has that clue. So this is the most important bit. This is your x1, y1 point. Now, before I move on, this is why I said read the question to see what is it asking for. It It says you write the equation in point slope form. You're like, I don't really remember which one that is. I know slope intercept, y equals mx plus b. That's not the same thing. Go to your formula chart. Click the reference material button. Here it go. Or here you go. I'm sorry. Point slope form. There it is. So you don't have to memorize that equation. Just find it in your formula chart and then reuse it. Here we go. Point slope form. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And we already know the slope. We have x1, y1. So let's rewrite it. Y minus 7 equals negative 1/2 x minus negative 37. Sorry, negative 3. I'm so tired. Whoopsie daisy. I'm going to make that minus really thick. Okay, let me do some highlighting. Again, in point slope form, you change y1, you change your m, you change x1. Hopefully that rings a bell for some of y'all. I would go around when we were doing a foldable and we had that formula chart, like that formula posted on the formula, on the foldable. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. Forgive me. And I would highlight and I told you only change these 3 parts. Already, I can see half of my answers. It says here y minus 7. Only A and B have that. Bing, bing. Doy. These are bad. They don't have that. They don't have what we need. Now I'm over here with the double negatives. Be careful. 2 negatives make a what? Bing, positive. So y minus 7 equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. That means A is the only good answer. And now here's how you would work it out the other way if you don't think you can handle this way. That's fine. Problems can be solved a multiple variety of ways. I try not to overwhelm y'all, giving y'all all the information at once, because sometimes it's just confusing and you mix up the steps and you're like, I don't know which one to do. Do I do it this way or that way? But now that we're at the end of the year, do what you feel comfortable with what you know. If you understand this, you're good. If you don't, we could do it the other way. And if you understand that better, then use it. Okay? I'm not going to stop you. If you're capable with one certain direction, go that direction. I'm not going to stop you. In fact, I encourage you. Sorry, I'm stuttering. So let's try A, the long way. And if this is what you're more comfortable with, use it. Because we see parentheses. A lot of you think distribution. Yeah, that's fine. And so I'm going to go ahead and distribute. Y minus 7 equals negative 1/2 x. Remember, when we distribute the variable, it just slides in front. Nothing happens. And then when I multiply a fraction with a whole number, we really only multiply the top. But if you're not confident, just clear the screen and type it in there. Alpha y equals enter, negative 1 over 2 times 3. Because this is a fraction and that's a whole number, you're only multiplying the top. So you're going to get negative 3 over 2. It's okay if you don't know that. Just use your calculator. It's your buddy. Buddies help each other. Now, it says here y minus 7. We want y alone, so add 7 on both sides. Again, I skipped the x. No one talks to this x. They're an x for a reason. No one talks to them. So cancel this out. Bring down the y. We're going to ignore the x. And then we're going to do negative 3 over 2 plus 7. If you're not comfortable adding with fractions, just use a calculator. You can literally put plus 7 because the calculator is going to copy your last answer. Or if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, 7 has to have the same denominator as 2. So I can do 7 times 2, and that's 14 over 7. Then I can add it. Well, then 14 minus 3. It's going to be an 11. That's how the calculator does things. We made the calculator. So we made it do this. Anyways, the answer at the end is plus 11 over 2. What was the point of doing this? Well, now I could put it in the calculator and see, does that give me that number? The negative 3 and 7. So you click y equals alpha y. Ooh. Sorry, let me start over. Y equals. Let me clear this. Yucky. Okay. Alpha y equals enter negative 1 over 2 x plus alpha y equals enter 11 over 2. Sorry. I did that all off screen. I'm so sorry. But again, we've done it before. Now that you type it in, plus second graph. And then we're going to go to -3. So go up. There is that point. There we go, boys. We did it, gals. We finished. Oh yeah, I have the shakers. We did it. Alright. I hope you understand. I did kind of rush some things at the end because I am getting tired. But it's a lot of repetition. We just did the biggest category. And I wanted to do it because I want you guys to succeed. So please, please, please practice that part because that has the most points. And again, it's not our only goal. But for some of y'all, I said that at least a 25 or more points, more questions, 25 or more questions right, will likely have you pass the STAAR. If you want to be meets, that's actually 32. So if you want to be grade level, 32. So of course we want to aim for as many points as possible. There's a lot of questions on here. But a 32 is just like half, almost half. A little bit over than half. So try to do your best on understanding all these questions. If you have more, like if you want more practice, like you're kind of getting it, but you feel like you need more examples, talk to me and I can get you more problems. Come talk to me for tutoring. We have one Thursday this week and then one more day next week, and then you're taking your STAAR. But if you still want more kind of practice, look it up, like category 3, or you can literally say writing and solving linear functions. Type that up. Search up on YouTube. Other teachers post videos too. I'm not going to get jealous if you look up another teacher. Do what you can. I wish you the best. Thank you and have a good day.